Something I realized is that a lot of different tragedies don't really impact Black people as much because of racism. Stay with me now. Because of racism, we're never really the target victims, and so a lot of times these tragedies pass over us. For example, majority of serial unalivers look for 8.5 by 11s as their victims. That's not all, but majority. Same thing with the Titanic. They didn't want anyone Black on the boat. And you saw what happened to that boat, right?
Black people know things white people don't. Before I go on, you can check my video notes for the references I used to create this video. Generations of white Americans were raised with a story that made us feel like heroes. We learned about abolitionists, not about the banks that provided insurance on enslaved people. We learned about the civil rights movement, but not about the white mobs who terrorized Black families for trying to move into a better neighborhood. Systemic racism didn't just hurt Black people, although they were the ones that took most of it, but it also misinformed white people, and that pisses me off. It trained us to see unfairness and injustice as progress. That's why when Black folks talk about redlining, medical racism, or why certain laws hit their communities so much harder, many white people are just confused, or worse, and probably more commonly, they're defensive. It's not just ignorance, it's conditioning. The system made sure we didn't see the whole picture, because once we did, we might start asking too many questions. White people need to hear the truth from people who live it, but that takes a toll on Black people. They've had to survive what we've only begun to learn about, and it's not fair to put that burden on them. That's why I study, listen, and talk to other white folks. It's not about guilt, and it's not about blame. It's about repair. Black people already know this history. White people need to know it too, because it's our history. It's our history too. Silence keeps the system working in the way that is unjust. Don't be afraid. You should be mad about what was kept from you on purpose. Now you have the opportunity to learn about it and start organizing your life differently. I am not an expert, but I love learning. You can put my username into your search engine. Scroll down if you want to help me out. You guys are the greatest. Get curious.
Welcome back. How are you guys doing? Thank you to my return subscribers. I really appreciate you. And if you're new here, thank you. On this channel, we talk about everything trending, whether it's from the news, on the internet. We bring it down here. We had our commentary just for us to be in the loop. If you are interested in this kind of content, please do not forget to subscribe and turn on your bell notification. And for that, I say thank you. Let's just dive right into this one. We know what is going on right now, and the African Americans came with the receipt, like, okay, y'all told this is gonna be against us. Y'all ain't thinking about yourself. African American got the receipt, and we are gonna be listening. Credit to the creators for giving us the opportunity. Go down there and add your comment.
It would make so much sense why they would just literally start fucking. I'm not saying I agree, but I get why they some fucking haters. Like, imagine that. Imagine that. So to the person that actually triggered this topic, because I got a DM. Yes, during the Great Depression, we were creating. This is when we got our footing as a community, because it was the early 20s, early 30s. We had only just got free 1860s, free in the 1860s. So you already know, like, a lot of us, we were uneducated, we were poor. It's not like they took the chains off and gave us any type of help. We had to figure it out on our own. So we only a generation, 2 generations into, like, the free Black community. So, of course, We didn't have much. So during the Great Depression, we was already living in our Great Depression for like 400 years, so it didn't really affect us as much. Now, granted, there was a free black population, there was a bourgeois, so there was a part of the black community that was affected by the Great Depression. But as for like the majority of us, that's why it was so easy for us to take that pain and turn it into dances, into songs, into hymns, quilts, poems, fucking books, everything you could think of. Like the Harlem Renaissance is just so beautiful because it's just pure black creation. Everything. We created everything. Everything. But yeah, it did run concurrent. So at the same time that white people was over here struggling, black people was innovating. We took that nothing and made everything out of it. I love us. I'll always say this. I fucking love us. Okay. So yeah, thought I'd give y'all that lesson. Did you know this?
Yes, you sure did. I told you, get ready because this video is loaded about the African Americans' histories that maybe y'all never heard it before, and some that I've never heard before. You know what I mean? That's why I told you, like, the African Americans always got the receipt. And I am gonna say thank you to our ancestors. You know what I mean? That they make this happen. Just imagine if we do not have histories to fall back to. You know what I mean? Just imagine if we do not have something to fall back to. Like, okay, if our ancestors survived it, we can survive this as well. But buckle up, because you got more.
In their Great Depression, we were having our Renaissance, the Harlem Renaissance. Those two timelines ran concurrent at the same time. Not only that, though. So you know how, like, in America, in history, we were never really given anything. We were never given anything. And if we did get something of our own, they would take it from us, or they would find a way to destroy it. So during the Great... I'm sorry. During the Great Depression, white people had gold, like gold necklaces, gold rings, gold coins, whatever, right? And that was kind of like their wealth, because, like, it accrued wealth over time and value over time. The government forced all them people to give them their gold. The government stole everybody's gold. Said they created an executive order, said give us your gold so that we can avoid gold hoarding and that it could back the reserves so that the Great Depression that we're currently in doesn't last as long. Black people didn't have gold. We didn't have gold. So during this Great Depression, not only were they taking houses, they was taking gold. Neither one of these things affected the black community as much as it affected the other communities. Because we didn't have shit. What do you mean? The funny part about this is, after the white people gave them their gold, say you had like a $5,000 gold certificate. By the time you gave it to the government, that next day, that gold certificate was now worth $10,000, and you not seeing a cent of it because they only gave you $5,000 cash. That's it. That's it. The government robbed these niggas. And then imagine being a white person. You look around at your fellow white counterparts, and y'all all broke, and then y'all look across the street, and black people up there, they created chitlin circuits, lecture circuits. They over there educating each other, innovating, creating, inventing shit. They happy to the... I mean, it makes sense why they would create something like the Zoot Suit riots. Or they start with us for no fucking reason.
Harlem Renaissance period. Now, when I was a little girl, I was obsessed with the Harlem Renaissance period. The clothes, the poetry, the music, the art, the black unity, the black love. It don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing. Do-wop, 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 do-wop. The Harlem Renaissance period spanned roughly from the 1910s to the mid-1930s and was a transformative cultural movement centered in Harlem, in New York City. It marked a period of profound artistic, intellectual, and social growth for our black community. The Harlem Renaissance was a significant cultural rebirth that gave birth to a vibrant and influential artistic tradition, laying the foundation for the modern Black American culture. Because as we all know, we are the culture. Everybody wants to be like us, but nobody wants to get treated like us. That's the difference. Now, the roots of the Harlem Renaissance began mostly due to the Great Migration that began in 1916. The movement of Black Americans from the rural South to urban areas in the North, particularly New York City, which led to the concentration of black intellectuals, musicians, writers, and artists in Harlem. World War I also played a role in the beginnings of the Harlem Renaissance because many black men served in the military and the war experience contributed to a new sense of identity. Black soldiers were forced through the draft to fight for a country that simultaneously denied them full rights and subjected them to racial segregation and discrimination. The contradictions they faced upon returning led to a heightened sense of racial pride and a stronger push for civil rights. Black soldiers were less willing to accept the racism of the United States. So now picture it, Harlem, 1920. Harlem in the early 20th century was primarily a working class community for black people. But by the early 1920s, it had become the epicenter of black culture. Folks like W.E.B. Du Bois helped organize the Niagara movement and the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, known as the NAACP, which supported the intellectual and cultural advancement of black people. At this time, we also had Marcus Garvey's UNIA, the Universal Negro Improvement Association, and they promoted black pride, Pan-Africanism, and the idea of separate but equal, influencing the Renaissance's cultural climate. Between 1920 and 1925, the Harlem Renaissance truly began to flourish during this period, both in terms of artistic output and its influence on mainstream American culture. For literature, we had writers such as Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, Claude McKay, Countee Cullen, writing poems, novels, short stories, and essays that explored the black experience, celebrating black culture and challenging racial stereotypes. Langston Hughes became one of the most iconic voices with works like The Negro Speaks of Rivers, which goes a little something like this. I've known rivers ancient as the world and older than the flow of human blood in human veins. My soul has grown deep in the rivers. I bathe in the Euphrates when dawns were young. I built my hut near the Congo and it lulled me to sleep. I looked upon the Nile and raised the pyramids above it. I heard the singing of the Mississippi when Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans. And I've seen its muddy bosom turn all golden in the sunset. I've known rivers, ancient, dusky rivers. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. See? Beautifully capturing the essence of black people and our experience and our history of being here since the beginning of time. And then don't even get me started on music. The Harlem Renaissance is known for its connection to jazz, blues, and gospel. Artists like Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, Bessie Smith, Fats Waller created a new sound that captivated not only black folks, but also white audiences. Harlem's Cotton Club, the Savoy, and the Apollo Theater became the epicenter of this music. Bessie Smith, known as the Empress of Blues, became the highest paid black performer of her time. And Duke Ellington turned jazz into an art form, establishing his place in music history. The Renaissance influenced the world theater. The cultural boom in Harlem gave black actors opportunities for stage work that had previously been withheld. At the center of this stage revolution was the versatile Paul Robeson, an actor, singer, writer, and activist. Robeson believed that art and culture were the best paths forward for black Americans to overcome racism and make advances in white-dominated culture. And then we have Josephine Baker. Josephine Baker spent her youth in poverty before learning to dance and finding success on Broadway. In the 1920s, she moved to France and soon became one of Europe's most highest paid performers. Then we had the visual arts. The visual arts were never welcoming to black artists, with art schools, galleries, and museums shutting them out. The most celebrated Harlem Renaissance artist is Aaron Douglas, often called the father of black American art. who adapted African techniques to realize paintings and murals as well as book illustrations. And other visual artists like Archibald Motley, Malou Jones explored themes of African heritage, race, and identity, producing works that challenged existing racial stereotypes and celebrated Black American culture. And Black people during the Harlem Renaissance faced widespread systemic racism. Black people were subjected to segregation and disenfranchisement and violence under the Jim Crow laws. And that racism led to brutal treatment of Black people, especially in the form of lynchings. Black intellectuals like Du Bois and activists like Ida B. Wells worked tirelessly to bring attention to these atrocities. Black people were excluded from many economic opportunities, particularly in white-dominated industries. Black performers, artists, and intellectuals often faced discrimination in securing jobs or compensation equivalent to their white counterparts. Black artists and performers were often limited to roles that reinforced negative stereotypes, such as Mammy. Despite the rise of influential Black intellectuals and organizations, Black Americans had limited political power due to the Jim Crow laws. The end of Harlem's creative boom began with the stock market crash of 1929 and the Great Depression. It wavered until Prohibition ended in 1933, which meant that white patrons no longer sought out illegal alcohol in uptown Black-owned clubs. Though the Harlem Renaissance formally ended with the Great Depression, the artistic and intellectual contributions made by Black people during this period laid the foundation for future generations of Black artists, activists, and thinkers. The works created during this time influenced the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s, and they continue to be celebrated as important milestones in our Black history. Think about this. Malcolm X was born right at the height of the Harlem Renaissance, May 19th, 1925. For me, the Harlem Renaissance period is proof of what we could build through our unity. We just have to find our way back to each other. Stop letting the enemy divide us through religion and classism and colorism and all these ridiculous diaspora wars. And remember what Malcolm said. Remember who taught you to hate yourself. The fact remains, the only way out for us is together, by any means necessary together. Global Black unity is the only answer. I love you, Black man. I love you, Black woman. Knowledge is power. Power to the people.
Yes, ma'am. Power to the people. And we are going to say credit to the creators for giving us this opportunity to add our comment. Go down in the comment section if you can. Add your comment. Isn't this getting interesting? Isn't this getting very, very interesting? Imagine if we do not have histories to fall back to. That was what I said in the first segment, that we just got to say thank you to our ancestors. We just got to say thank you to our ancestors. This lady right here, she came out. She said most of what the white knew was what they told them. They were not being told the full truth. That's what I said. We should just say thank you to our ancestors for telling us the truth. Even though the truth was just difficult. You know what I mean? They did not sugarcoat it. They let us know what actually happened for us to make better out of it. You know, but what do y'all think? What do you guys think? Because now, if this lady right here that came out saying most white, they didn't know a lot of things. You know, they didn't know the histories. It's what they were being told that they were acting on. Not all, but most of them, right? So imagine those that knew the truth and did not even tell those that did not know the truth. That's what I said. We should give it to our ancestors for telling us the truth, even though the truth was so hard, and for making sure they made a way for you and I to stand on, for you and I to be proud of, for you and I to know, like, yes, if our ancestors can do it, it was tough, it was difficult, but they made it happen. They made it happen, and they gave us these histories that we are working on. What do you guys think? What do y'all think? They were thinking the African Americans gonna come out, be complaining about the hardship. No, and the African Americans came out with a receipt, said, no, my dear, we thrive, whether it is hard, Well, it is not hard. We always just like surviving. We surviving, but how y'all feeling? How y'all doing? Go down there in the comment section and add your comment for sure. When we got updates, we are gonna give y'all. Thank you to all my return subscribers, and thank you. If you are new here, do not forget to subscribe, and I will for sure catch up with you guys in the next one. Keep shining.
Don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing. Do I, 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 do I.